What's up, everyone? Good Sunday evening to you. Welcome. Thank you for dropping in on this very wet and rainy Sunday night on the East Coast, at least. Yeah, so for those of you who have read my either my description of this video or the Facebook or Instagram promos for tonight's episode, then you already know I'm at my wit's end with the shit that we've been dealing with since 2015. And it's not like I want to make, my episodes political, although of course we, never really had any hard, fast rule of any kind about, no politics or whatever. But, you try to keep it to a minimum, which has been good. It's worked well in the past so far. So it's not like I want to turn this into the weekly political podcast or anything like that. But and to be frank, I'll tell you guys straight out right now, I'm not even telling you that tonight is about politics either. In seriousness, I just had no idea what we would talk about. I figured it'd be like, anything goes as usual, which is fine. But I was trying to make my thumbnail, trying to think of, well, what can I put in the background? And there was nothing really other than I thought maybe some movies I had watched over the last week or 2 weeks. But, we've been doing a lot of movie coverage lately, and I love it. That's fine. But visually, obviously some rewind viewers won't even take a chance. If they see the thumbnail, it looks like it's all movie related. And if they're not interested in anything other than comic art, they're not going to even tune in for a second to see what, if we've talked about anything else. They'll just make that assumption that all we're going to do is talk about movies. So I thought, well, it's Easter. And I remember one of you, I can't remember who it was last week, said that this week would be the Easter episode. And upon remembering that, I thought, okay, well, I'll just put an Easter-like background. So I started making my thumbnail and put the Easter-like background. And then I saw this post from that orange piece of shit that you call a president. And while nothing from him surprises me, this is not what look, I've known, like many of us on the East Coast, I've known about this guy and what he's all about since the mid 1980s or thereabouts. And so literally nothing that has happened since 2015 and onward, or with the whole, racist, pre-15 racist Barack Obama, birth certificate bullshit going on for a few years before that. But I've always known this idiot that has the keys to all the power on earth is a buffoon, a con man, just a complete fraud. All right. So those of us who know and have always known, well, I don't have to say that to you. You know what I'm talking about. And so of course there is no bottom, for years since 2015 onwards, right? The people kept talking about, well, where's the bottom? Where's the bottom for this guy? Oh my gosh, where's the bottom? And it's like the media didn't know who they were talking about, even though they'd been covering this idiot since the 1970s. And I kept thinking, what do you mean, where's the bottom? If you know him, there is no bottom, right? There never has been. There never will be. There are no depths to which this fucktard can sink to that would make you think, okay, finally, we've hit rock bottom. No, there is no such thing. That's how pathetic of an individual he is. It's all about narcissism, wanting to be loved by everybody, but too stupid to know how to do the right things in order to get people to love him. And because he's a born con man, it's so much easier to just con people, not do the work, and con them into thinking you're the greatest thing that ever lived, and that you're the greatest everything, right? You're the Messiah. Apparently, he is the chosen one. Remember that? What a fucking joke. So for those of you who don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, let me show you, for those of you just tuning in. All right, let me just show you. This is what I saw, his latest awesome message posted today. Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. President Donald J. Trump. Can you imagine? Seriously, can you fucking imagine any actual president? Because I can't really call this guy a president, because he's clear he's not like you have to be qualified to be the president. Clearly, he's never been qualified to sniff anyone's jockstrap. So he's not a president, right? But you have this buffoon con man in the role of the president because he conned like 75 million people into thinking he's actually smart, he's actually good at what he says he is, And this is what's happening now. Can you imagine anybody? It doesn't matter if it's Obama, George W. Bush, Bush Sr., whoever. Go all the way back to however far you want to go. Can you imagine anybody, an actual president, ever posting shit like that, talking like that, and posting it for the world to see? I can't. It's not that I can't take what he does, because again, I'm used to it. I've known that this is who he is long before he got into politics, decades before. But what irks me is that nobody wants to do anything about it. Nobody wants to do anything about it. Nobody's doing anything about it. And that, my friends, is even in spite of the fact that you live in a country that is governed by the Constitution, of which there is an amendment that was made a long time ago. It is the 25th Amendment, out of I don't know how many, but there are plenty. The 25th one, which allows Congress to get together and say, yes, the person currently running our country is not fit to be in that spot. Let's get him the fuck out of here, or her. And yet nobody uses it. Nobody seems to give a shit. Like, what the hell is going on? As our you talk about the decline of the American empire. I don't think that America has been in a shittier position in its entire history. And that's saying a lot, given that the country went through slavery, the Civil War, but I just don't think it has ever been in as precarious a position as it has been. Well, really since 2015. We got lucky 4 years later and got rid of the trash, took the trash out. But then the trash was let back in for a second go at it, right? And, some of you say, well, yeah, we need shows like this to make us forget about that so we don't have to think about this stuff, And that's all fine and dandy that you think that. I appreciate that you enjoy the show. But see, that's also a big part of the problem. Okay? A big part of the problem is that far too many people want to stick their head in the sand like an ostrich, right? I've always called that ostrich syndrome, right? People who don't want to deal with their problems, right? So dig the little hole, stick your head in. You can't see or hear anything, right? So therefore, it's not really happening to me because I'm not seeing or hearing it, right? But that's a major part of the problem. We can't just constantly keep ignoring this shit. And as you guys, most of you know, maybe a few of you newer people, newer viewers may not know, but most of you know, I am not even American. I am North American, but I live above the northern border. But hey, the orange buffoon's actions still affect us. While you guys are bitching and complaining because your gasoline went to $4.35 this week, mine went to $7.56 a gallon this week. And in Australia, it's somewhere between, I think, $8 and $9. So for those of you who always think, oh, what do you care? It's not happening to you. You're lucky. You're not even in the country. Trust me, everything that happens there politically has a far-reaching effect, especially here to where I am, because we're literally right next door neighbors with you, right? So I'm just want to say I don't think it's right that we just come here every week and we just talk about, whatever stupid shit we want to talk about, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I love it, right? But the idea that we can't talk about whatever the hell is going on, which is far more important than original comic book art, even though you guys may not want to hear that, you may not want to admit it, we're lucky that, we have first world problems, right? All of us have first world problems, all of us, that we could spend hundreds, if not thousands or tens of thousands on pieces of paper with drawings of cartoon characters on them, bitching because we lost an auction. Oh, I didn't get the piece at this auction, or somebody beat me to that piece on that guy's website. Yeah, it's all well and good, but none of that shit's important in comparison to what the hell is going on in America and by extension the rest of the world, really. But this, for those of you who don't follow politics, let me just explain what he meant about Power Plant Day and Bridge Day. That is a reference to a threat he made about committing war crimes, right? Just like he's done since 2015, he says the quiet parts out loud, okay? And it normalizes it in everybody's minds. Okay, he's talking about a threat he made to Iran that he would start bombing their power plants, their bridges, basically everything that would affect ordinary citizens. And doing so, my friends, is a war crime. So there you go. Power plant day and bridge day, as he calls it, all wrapped up in one. And there's going to be nothing like it. Look at the next sentence. Open the fucking strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. I guess he couldn't help himself as usual. He could never help his worst impulses, or any impulses really. And also had to, I guess, make fun of the Muslim faith with that last sentence. So, yeah, I don't know. I like I said in the description of this video, I don't know what I'm going to talk about tonight. I don't know what I want to do. I'm really not in the mood to do this right now, to be honest. And frankly, this is why. It's just like week to week. Yeah, it's okay. I like it. I do like coming here. I like to hang out with you all, but it's just hard. It's just hard to constantly keep talking about good, fun things, when a lot of serious shit is going on around us that nobody seems to give a shit about. Nobody wants to do anything about. This all could be stopped like that. There are things in place, as I mentioned earlier, to stop things like this from happening. And no, nobody cares. It's the dumbing down of America. And it's everybody's just allowing it to happen. It's mind-boggling. Excuse me while I take a sip of my water. Anyway, I'm going to jump in, say hello to you guys, see what's up. A lot of comments I see. Happy Sunday from my lovely wife. Thanks, honey. And yes, so happy Passover to those of you of the Jewish faith. David Barr, if you're out there, the rest of you Jewish friends of mine. Happy Easter to those of you who celebrate that. And you're welcome, John. Been a long time no see. It's good to see you. And thank you for the likes, everybody. If you haven't done so already, please hit the thumbs up. That's the like button down here somewhere. Looks like this. Would appreciate that. Thank you, Rich. So Marcus says, I'm showing my true self. I like to think that I've always shown my true self. I am who I am. I say what I say because I say the truth, and that's it. You know, take it or leave it. I like I've always said, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Then again, who is? But as long as I am truthful, I live by that creed, and that's that. And I say what is on my mind at all times, you know. Truth will set me free indeed, for sure. Hey, John Brown, what's up? Good evening to you. What's up, Tom? Good to see you. And we got, who else? Robert Berman in the house. What's up? What's up? Thank you, Alberto. No hugs needed. I'm good. Good old Jeff Wedding in the house. Greetings to you, sir. Jerome. Likewise, happy Easter to you. And let me see. Can't stay too long, says Alberto, heading out to see Project Hail Mary in a bit. Sounds vaguely familiar. Here to show my support, Ruben. Register my like. Thank you. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Currently traveling. Just checking to register my like. Yes, I hope everything is going well with your travels, Comic Art Boston. Thank you. And thank you. I appreciate it, Kat. Thank you. Yes, I know, Alberto. Yes, I know. The whole world's not going to shit. The United States is going to shit. And of course, there's like I say, there's little waves that come off of that, and it hits other countries as well. But you're definitely the epicenter right now. And depressing days for sure, says Comic Art Boston. Indeed. Ruben, if you want to feel worse, I can recommend The Last American Virgin. I saw that a few times during the 80s. I don't know if it's a few times, at least 2 times, maybe 3. Maybe twice in the 80s, and then I wanted to remind myself what it was like because I didn't remember it. In the 90s, perhaps. Yeah. What's up, Mike? Let's see. Who was the original Karen? There was an original Karen in The Last American Virgin. And good wishes for a blessed Easter to Vivian from Cab. Very nice of you, Cab. Thank you. If you want me to join on the screen, you did not. No, I'm not posting it. I'm not posting it anymore, Philip. But sure. I will certainly send you the link. Indeed, my friend. Absolutely. Let me do that right now as I say these words. Thank you for emailing, by the way. And it has been sent. It has been sent, my friend. So there you go. There we go. Philip, a nice Philip. Cheered on by Tom. And number 1 needs to come on and provide the rebuttal, says Marcus. Tom says no. And now Marcus is egging Tom on, saying, come on, you need to tell us how much worse Kamala would be. Oh, dear Lord. Please tell me you do not believe that. Or if you did at one time, please tell me you've seen the light. Yeah, exactly, Lee. Nice language from a president. Right on. John says, the fact that anyone can excuse this behavior from our president is beyond me. Yeah, indeed. It's just an insane double standard. He can do anything. His fans will love him, but Obama wears a tan suit, and it's all Fox News can talk about. Yeah, exactly. Planning on retiring in 3 years, says Lee, but I'm afraid to look at my finances due to this dumb fucker. Yep. I get you. I hear you, Lee. Marcus says, Ruben, forget all that. What will be the fallout in relation to comic art prices? Should we buy more art now or before the war causes hyperinflation? I don't know anymore, dude. I don't know. MLB's back in the house. Majority of people got real problems. Twitter and cable news is such a joke. They don't pay attention to it anymore. No, I know. That's why I have to get news from independent YouTube people because the mainstream media is terrified of getting shut down or getting in trouble of some kind if they report what's going on. It's so insane. There he is, my friend David Barr. What's happening, David? The American century was 1918 to 2016. We historians already capped it. All right. Mike Snitzer says, Republicans have all the power right now. Midterms will change everything unless Trump is able to cheat to retain control. Well, that's the problem, Mike. That's the fucking problem. Not going to get into it, but I mentioned it before. There's some evidence, actual evidence, strongly circumstantial, but evidence nonetheless, that he and what's his name, the fruitcake weirdo guy, the Tesla idiot moron, with his Starlink thing, whatever, that he may have somehow figured out a way to cheat the 24 election. And yeah. And now they're already in the midst, they have been for months in the midst of trying to cheat. Because everything else that Trump touches, right, turns to shit. Everything he's ever done is just cheat and scam people. And that's the irony. His own followers don't get it. They think he's the best, and he laughs at them and shits on them. Constantly laughs at them behind their backs. Because he knows they're so gullible. That's the sad part. And they are in the middle of cheating, like I said, Mike. With the whole trying to pass these things so that make it harder for people to vote in Democratic states, right? So a lot less people get the vote. Yeah, he's been cheating since the beginning. There's all kinds of ways they can cheat, and all he does is cheat and steal, right? So escapism is indeed a privilege, John. That's for sure. We're very, very privileged to be here every week and every day, talk about our collecting with our friends, look at our collections, So MLB says, every president in my life has been awful. They just keep voting back and forth at parties, but nothing changes. I don't know if everybody's been awful. I don't know, I'd agree with that. But some far worse than others, that's for sure. I prefer nothing changes to what's being done now. That's true. Yeah. Better than nothing changed. That's kind of what I'm saying. I know that it sucks to have the status quo when somebody new comes in, but at least status quo is better than, like as Marcus says, the destruction of your democracy, the destruction of your country right in front of everybody's eyes, Nothing changes results in private sector innovation, Marcus says. Maybe we can discuss Iran's Lego AI propaganda video game. Hey, where are you, Philip? I sent you that link several minutes ago. John says, they may all have been quote unquote awful, but this is the new low and a disturbing new example to be said. Oh, this is the worst in American history by like leagues and leagues and leagues. Oh my God. I mean, there have been some bad ones maybe, but never to the point where the country itself was in danger of falling apart because it was being run by a conman sowing hatred from day one, getting people to hate each other, convincing that everybody's an enemy, that your own citizens are enemies. All right, Philip is in the house. Let me bring him in here. Hey, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Long time no see, long time no speak. How you doing? Oh my gosh, I don't think he hears me. I don't hear you. We're not hearing him. At least I'm not. I don't know. You guys can tell us.
All right, that's better.
Oh, there we go. There we go. How you doing, pal?
Good.
Yeah?
I just thought I would give you somebody to bounce stuff off of. Plus,
I appreciate that.
Maybe a little bit of more optimism than you're having.
Well, again, I appreciate that. I need to see what happens, obviously, in November. If things don't change in November, the end is nigh. And that's just a fancy term for near, for those of you who don't know what nigh means. And again, listen, if you look at what's going on, if you're listening carefully and watching carefully, things look fantastic. Things look great. And I'm not being facetious. I mean, really, like, there's tons of people On the Republican side, who are finally waking up and unhappy with the mess that is happening to the country. And there are, for those of you who don't follow politics on a daily as I do, in the last, I don't know if it's the last few months or the last few years, Philip or somebody else can correct me. There have been several special elections, 30 as far as I know, special elections, right?
The past year, special and some actual like gubernatorial elections.
Right.
And Republicans, anything within their, what they call a plus 10 or less Republican district, the Republicans have lost.
I just been reading they're up to 30 elections where Democrats have flipped Republican seats.
And then you add in the special election to amend the state constitution in California to allow gerrymandering, which was a response to the Republican gerrymandering. And then you see that there's certain states like Indiana and Ohio that tried to gerrymander for Republicans and they kind of fizzled out.
Right.
And Virginia is now on the verge of now gerrymandering the bejesus out of their state for Democrats.
Right.
So one of the things you got to keep in mind, and Rubén probably is more knowledgeable about this as from a Canadian standpoint than most Canadians, I would suspect, based on what I'm hearing, is the United States is 50 independent jurisdictions. Right. So each state, and under the Constitution, the states run the elections. The federal government doesn't. Now, the Congress can pass laws that regulate the time, place, and manner of elections and certain election rules, but and Trump has been trying to do that. But the one thing that the Republicans have not given up is the filibuster in the Senate. So that's sort of the thing that's preventing a wholesale passage of restrictive election laws. And then the other thing is Trump has been trying very hard, and I think that people around him know he's not well, that he's not just mentally unwell, but I think physically is sundowning. And they recognize they have a closing window because there's nobody behind him that is going to be able to hold together his coalition. So they've been trying to accelerate things. And there's a Canadian political scientist, I don't remember his name, and Rubén, you might know who it is, who's probably talked on the CBC and all kinds of other things about how the United States has been going faster in towards authoritarianism than, say, Russia or Hungary. And he sees that as a bad sign. I actually see that as a sign of their desperation. And I also see it as a problem for them because doing it slower makes it harder to reverse. The faster you do it, the more resistance you get, especially in the United States where you have all these decentralized power areas. And the courts have been pummeling him at the trial court and the appellate court level. And only a small segment of those have gotten up to the Supreme Court. And he's got about a 50-50 batting average with the Supreme Court. So there's also a lot of Republicans that are still like barely constitutionalist. Republicans in the House of Representatives only have maybe 1 or 2 seat majority margin for error. So they can't lose anybody. So barring him ordering troops into the streets to basically intimidate voters and I think seizing ballots, which is one possibility, there isn't a lot he can do to stave off an electoral wipeout in November because he's as unpopular as any president has ever been.
I know. Again, but you see, the winds of change are blowing in the right direction. And if this was a world pre-2024 where, generally you trusted the elections, right? Everything was fine. In 2020 was, nobody cheated in 2020, except for the buffoon, the orange buffoon who attempted to cheat to steal the election. Right? Everything was safe. Everything was great. The safest elections ever, by the way, were declared in 2020. And yet the winds of change were moving in the right direction in 2024. Right? Same thing. I was feeling the same thing. You could feel it. When it's if you're following the news, you're following politics, you can feel it in the air when it's like, yeah, you know which way it's gonna go, right? And it was moving in that direction in 2024. And somehow, not only did it not go Kamala Harris's way, but you mean to tell me we're supposed to believe all of the swing states, all of them were legitimate? Yeah. They all decided, this guy, we want this guy back in. This piece of orange shit exactly is way better than that intelligent woman who is a lawyer. Right. Yeah, I'm supposed to, everybody's supposed to believe that, right? It's racism. She's a woman. It's sexism and racism. It's a bunch of people. It's a bunch of people with the fucking racist bullshit that's, they feel emboldened because the orange piece of shit allowed them to feel like they can be themselves. So you got a bunch of people who, there's no way I'm voting for a black woman. And then on top of it, as I said, I think there's circumstantial evidence to show that there was some kind of cheating involved. It's just not possible. There's no way that was a legit result, sweeping every single swing state. In some of those states, there were areas where all the hundreds of thousands of ballots were Trump at the top, and every single down ballot vote was for a Democrat. Hundreds of thousands. So you mean to tell me that Republicans were like, yeah, Trump all the way, baby. But I really still do feel bad for Democrats. So I think I'll vote for Democrats all the way down ballot. No, that never happened. Never going to happen. You want me
to explain what happened?
Go ahead.
As somebody I actually have some degree of political.
Go ahead. Yes, please.
So, first of all, the swing states that you're talking about, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, tend to vote together demographically. That's first. Second, because they did back in 2016 too. Narrowly, they swung just for Trump over Hillary in 2016. The same thing happened. Second, while I agree that Elon Musk committed massive campaign finance violations, I don't think he rigged any vote systems. I think that's all conspiracy theory, and I don't think that's true. I think what really happened was inflation went through the roof. Biden looked like he was, barely able to, speak anymore, and he looked like he was going down the tubes. And all the fear-mongering about Trump didn't hit with people because they said, well, he didn't do any of that stuff in his first term, the really bad stuff. Because they didn't listen to the reason why it didn't happen is because he had people around him that wouldn't do it. And he had some Republicans that still were sane.
But let me add something to that though, Philip.
And frankly, the immigration issue, long time, a lot of particularly Hispanic immigrants don't like the fact that a lot of these people were flooding over the border. And when they came here, or their families came here the right way, They said, yeah, get rid of the criminals. We're doing it the right way. And so that actually helped him. They were actually willing to vote for him in some key precincts, particularly like down in Texas and Pennsylvania. He had a lot of Puerto Rican support, despite the fact that last minute, like Bad Bunny and people came out against him. And he sort of had that weird, it wasn't enough short enough. And then I would add to that, there wasn't a Democratic primary. Biden stayed in the race too long. He had that bad debate.
I agree.
Pulled out. They had
to
scramble to nominate Harris. She did not have enough time to build a campaign. She had one debate with Trump, beat his brains out, and the Trump people said, we're not putting him in that situation again. And they just ran ads attacking her for supporting trans people and that she's going to start a war with Iran. And people didn't want to do that.
This is the stupidity about it. You know, like
there is
literally his whole modus operandi has always been to say out loud what he intends to do or is already doing, right? But as an accusation towards the other side, right? So he'll accuse the other side of saying or doing whatever he is already himself doing or is planning on doing, so that when he finally does it, he can say, oh, but they did it first. They did it first. He points the finger, right? It's always a setup. Everything's a con with this guy. And people just swallow it hook, line, and sinker, right? But let me just say one other thing. Because I don't want to forget, Philip. You mentioned that this happened in 2016 too. But the thing is, it's a little bit different. In 2016, you had Hillary Clinton, who was polarizing. Okay, even like myself, I mean, I would in a million years still vote for her over that piece of dog shit because, as I said, he's been a piece of human excrement his entire life. Okay, and so I get that. Okay, whatever. She was polarizing, and that's kind of why it went the other way. So that's understandable. I can buy that. A lot of people, even myself, I didn't like her. I would still have voted for her only because it's a vote not for him. You know what I mean? And anything's better than him. It always will be better. But that's the thing. So that was different. But with Kamala, she's an intelligent. Not that Hillary's not intelligent. She's also an attorney. She was an attorney herself. But it's this time it's another attorney, female. Oh, but this time female and black. So you got two things going against her, and right, and then you got all these. You got the orange idiot feeding all the buffoons who listen to him and saying again that whole thing about putting out there the accusations that he intends to do, claiming that others are going to do it or are doing it, right? Like you just said, oh, vote for Kamala and she's going to put you in a war with Iran. And it was so laughable. Like you would say these things and it was so laughable because as soon as it comes out of his mouth, it's like, what are you talking about? It's the Republicans who are the warmongers the vast majority of the time. She's not going to put you into a war. Right? You may put us into a war, but certainly not her. But it's like everybody's brainwashed. So they just, okay, she's going to put us into a war. Oh, all right. The bad black woman. Oh, yeah, she's going to be terrible for us. You get these people online going, oh, I didn't really like Trump. Right? These are Trump voters. I didn't really like him, but given the choice I had, I had no other choice. It was the lesser of two evils. Like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? The intelligent attorney who, by all accounts, as you can see her, from what you see of her, is a really nice woman, a good human being, right? Who cares about other people and has empathy and compassion, something the orange buffoon has never, ever, ever had. Right? That's the lesser of two evils. So you see what I'm saying? It's people's minds. Like that's why he's America's greatest con man. Like he may be the greatest of all time.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with any of that. However, what I'm going to add is the Gaza war really hurt Harris because she was in a trap because Biden wasn't sufficiently separating himself from what Israel was doing, and she kind of was stuck. And she lost a lot of support on the left because of that. And and look, I had a lot of conversations with people. I said, Biden's or Trump's going to be worse, and they didn't care. And I live in Michigan. We have a sizable Arab and Muslim population that just did not vote for her and probably contributed to her loss here in the state. So she didn't have enough time to build. Had Biden dropped out and said, I'm not running for reelection, and you had a full Democratic primary, and you had somebody emerge from that, I think that he would not have won the election in 2024. I think it was a unique set of circumstances. And don't forget that also the assassination attempt that rallied, he was kind of faltering against Harris. And that when that attempt happened, he started solidifying his support. So I think, though, people now, a lot of the people who voted for him because they didn't believe he would be as bad as everybody said he was going to be, now realize he is, and they're not going to vote for him anymore. And they're not going to vote for anybody who supports him.
We got MLB front office saying, I don't know anyone who thought Kamala was smart or cared that she was black. Like, who the hell are you listening to, dude? You don't know anyone. You can't see just from when she opens her mouth. You can't tell the difference between a highly intelligent woman and this buffoon who speaks and reads at what, like a third, fourth, fifth grade level. It's so clear.
I would point out also,
you don't know anybody who thinks she's smart. Like, what are you
in 2016, Hillary got 3 million more votes than Trump.
Right.
So our system isn't set up for majority picking the president. We have a weird hybrid electoral college that I keep telling people, said a lot of countries around the world have copied various aspects of our U.S. Constitution. The one thing that none of them has copied is the stupid electoral college, because it's the dumbest thing that we ever came up with.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into that because you're right. Exactly. I've said that forever since I started paying attention to politics. Yeah, it's the craziest thing or whatever, the stupidest. The reasoning for it coming into being was stupid. Whatever. It's just ridiculous that you guys work on that, you know. But hold on. Let me see what MLB is saying here, because he's making some wacky ass comments. Trump hasn't conned many. He's conned everybody his entire life. So I'm guessing you never knew anything about him before 2015. So he says people voted for him to keep their guns or secure border. They hated him. No, they didn't hate him. They loved him because they loved the way he insulted his opponents. That's what America, or at least the right half of America, that's what they fell in love with. Like, hey, look at this guy. Oh my God, did you see what he said about Ted Cruz, his wife? Oh, did you see what he said about that guy and this guy and that woman? Oh my God, it's awesome. He got rid of civility, right? He got rid of civility and turned it into some kind of like grade school shouting match in the schoolyard. And that's what happened, right? And half of America, who is chicken shit to admit it, but that's what they love. They loved the insults, right? The insults. That's how it all began, with insults. And oh my God. And he's putting on a show. So it became, hey, it's a rally, but it's really a show. It's like a comedy show if we go and watch this guy. And that's what they all fell in love with. Right? Right? The
partly
being a piece of shit towards other people, you know?
I always say that resentment is like one of the top motivating factors for people to vote. If you can't get something, you're damn sure going to make sure that somebody down the street doesn't get it. And if that means you got to cut off your nose to spite your face, you're going to do that in politics. It's even more of a motivating factor than fear sometimes. And a lot of people did it out of spite. But I think that there's a good chance that the Democrats, regardless of what he was trying, are going to just take back the Congress. And at that point, the biggest problem is going to be the government's just shutting down, because there's no way Trump is going to cooperate with him. The Democrats are going to have to just basically defund all of his stuff. Defund the war in Iran. I mean, at that point, we got boots on the ground. I don't know what the heck they're going to do, but
the problem with this idiot is that he's always doing so many bad things, right? You can't keep up with it, right? It's flooding the zone. So you can't keep up with it. So even if he leaves and Democrats take power, it's like they can't get a lot. You're not going to get a lot done after following him, because you need to spend all your time and energy undoing all the shit that he has done. You know what I mean? So that's it. Like and here's the thing. So here's MLB again. Says, I know lots of people who voted for Trump and don't like him. Right, but that's the problem, MLB. That's the problem. That comes from that ignorant belief that both sides have it, but it's a lot more in my,
check something real quick.
From me being on the outside looking in over the years, I've noticed it's a lot more prevalent on the right side, in that Republicans or conservatives, if you will, tend to be a lot more than liberals, brought up in a way where they really, really push the idea that we're Republican, we always vote Republican no matter what, right? And they beat that into their brains, right? And so that they're essentially, to them, that's their norm. That's all they know. That's all their parents ever told them, and their parents' parents before them, and so on and so forth. And so no matter what, they're going to vote Republican, right? And that's the problem. You say, lots of people who voted for Trump but don't like him. That's the problem, is that you all these people, there's a ton of people who claim they didn't like him but voted for him anyways. Right. Because the black woman who is actually highly intelligent, an attorney, empathetic, right, person, she was the worst of the two evils. She wasn't evil, first of all, but fine, if you even want to call her that, fine. But she's the worst out of the two? Really? An unintelligent, know nothing,
I think the people that
buffoon?
MLB's talking about prioritize the wrong things when they vote. They prioritize things. They ignored the mortal threat that Trump was to democracy and the Constitution, and that how corrupt he was. They ignored all that stuff because they prioritized stuff like, well, this manufactured crisis about all these immigrants coming over the border, when all they're doing is coming here to get work and send money home to their families because they can't get work where they live. That's basically, they're just economic migrants. And if you're a free market person, it's because we have an artificial cap on the number of foreign workers. That's it. Americans, you ask farmers, they can't find enough people to do those jobs, so they got to hire foreign workers. We just put a cap on it. It creates artificial scarcity. So what do? They cross the border illegally. So you solve the problem by making them come here, giving them a legal way to come here to work. That's all. But there's people who have been conned into believing that they're all a bunch of criminals and drug dealers, which is not.
For sure. But that's why everything he's ever said is a con. He is that's the only thing he's actually good at. I'll give him that credit. He is a con man. He's always been one, a very good one.
Those people are actually then there's the really cynical people that know he's lying about that, but who really what they're scared of is that all these immigrants, the Democrats are going to pass a law making them all citizens and then making them eligible to vote. And that all these people are going to vote Democrat for the rest of their That's what they're really afraid of.
I know, but that's the problem, Philip, is that so many people on the right side of the voting aisle are so ignorant. I mean, I can't even, it's shocking to me, the level of ignorance. Right. I mean, there's ignorance on both sides, but it is just by leaps and bounds so much heavier on the right. The things that they believe that are so easy to believe, you know, like MLB says, you know, they never watched him talk. They literally just want him to keep their guns and they would vote for anyone with an R in front of their name. I agree. They will vote for anybody with an R because all they really care about is their guns and lower taxes. Because, you know, there's this belief, whatever, that, you know, yes, it's true. The Republicans always want to try to cut taxes, you know, although it usually only benefits wealthier people. But yeah, the whole gun thing, it's true, MLB, it's true, right? The problem, though, is that the right stupidly believes anything said by any right politician, right? When they make accusations about this gun thing, right? The gun argument about the left, right? Which is, oh, they're going to take your guns away. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They know that they would never win any more elections if they did things to take all your guns away. It ain't going to happen, okay? They only have ever fought for a little bit of control, and really, it's nothing. It's literally nothing. You know, when you're trying to do things like, well, how about no more AR-15s that a random average citizen can just walk in and buy and own 15 of them? You know, stupid things like that. Who needs that? You want a gun? Okay, own your gun. The
irony of that,
families owning guns, and some Democrats even have guns, right? They're just saying, "Well, you don't need an arsenal. What do you need that for?"
The ultimate reason they give for that, though, is, oh, we need to protect against a tyrannical government. But here they are supporting a tyrannical government.
Right. That's
so
the
I'm
irony.
Like, where are you? You guys said you needed to protect against a tyrannical government. What are you doing? When someone shows up, you sit on your ass and you vote for it.
This is what
also
I'm saying.
MLB was going to posted another comment where he said something about that Democrats were campaigning on trans rights and so forth. And that's not true. Republicans turned that into an issue. They ran a bazillion ads on it. Democrats never ran on it at all.
Well, again, but what it is
to support people's trans rights, it's the Republicans that turned that into a big, huge issue. And the people that said the Democrats are running on trans rights are stupid because they got conned into believing that's what they ran on. Democrats, that's like way down the list of things they give a shit about. But it's Republicans who elevated that with millions and millions of dollars of attack ads and putting it out there on Fox News every day. So that what do these Republicans think? Oh, they care about is trans. And of course, Democrats are going to throw poor trans people on the bus. I know a minority group that's been crapped on and susceptible to all kinds of violence and self-harm. They're not going to just throw them under the bus. They're going to, because they have empathy. So just by being relatively nicer to them, they get treated like they're, you know, this is their number one issue. It's not. It's made up. That's the other thing. So
everything's made up to distract from all the horrible things that the buffoon keeps doing, right? Marcus says it. You got to keep us distracted from the Epstein files. Listen, he's a pedophile. He has had predilections his entire life. He's on camera making the creepiest comments about his own daughter because he thought his daughter was pretty hot once she started developing as a 13, 14-year-old. For Christ's sakes, he's done it and said it multiple times over the years, okay? So we know he has that in him, right? And now these files come out, all these accusers come out. Like, what are you people thinking? Like, you still thinking it's all bullshit? He's probably the number one pedophile. Like, what are you talking about? Like, anyways, But yeah, it is a distraction from that. He doesn't want that to come out for sure. You know. And thank you, Mara. Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Without Rich,
But
too.
I would say, as a note of optimism, I think he's going to be. I mean, he and Trumpism are going to be gone in a few years, and the United States is going to have a lot of hard work to do to clean up the mess that he's made. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
But I put it this way. We had an enmity with the Soviet Union for how many years? 50 years. They were the enemy. And as soon as communism fell, we were really ready to run over there and embrace them as friends. As soon as Trump is gone and you got a friendly president and a friendly Congress, the rest of the world is going to be a huge sigh of relief and go, okay, good. And we will quickly be able to repair relationships. Now, I do think Europe and NATO and Canada need to massively upgrade your defenses. You can't rely on just the United States anymore. You've got to be able to defend yourselves. And
defend ourselves from Americans. By the way things are going.
Yes, that too. I would say that's part of it. But I think, look, the Europeans need to not be able to defend themselves against Russia without having the United States be there, because we can't always be there. And even if a non-Trump, the opposite of Trump, comes to power, we're not going to be spending the same we spend on defense. We're going to be cutting back a lot on our military because people are sick of us doing that. I mean, we've been subsidizing the security of Europe and Canada even, and Israel and everybody else for 50 years, 60 years. And the United States can't do that anymore. It can't afford that. So it's going to cut back. So you guys need to pick up more of it. You're going to have to spend less money on social stuff, because that's what happened to us. A lot of our money goes to spending it on bombs and aircraft and aircraft carriers, not on health insurance for people or building roads and bridges. We've made that sacrifice and trade-off. For a while we could do that because we had the biggest economy, but it's no longer people do that. And that's sort of what Trump has exploited.
Yeah, listen, I look, JT here, AJT says Kamala was just Biden 2.0. The Democrats needed a better candidate to run against Trump. I just want to say, listen, maybe it's because I've always known since the mid 80s of the man's character. Okay. So maybe because of that, I know better than the average voter. Okay. But still, having lived through 2016 to 2020, okay, anybody with a coherent thought in their head who isn't brainwashed, right, would have thought, hey, even a steaming pile of horseshit is something I would vote for before I would ever again vote for this orange buffoon conman. Okay, so don't tell me about Kamala was no good. I agree, whatever, Biden 2.0. I agree with you. But
a lot of people
a million times better. It's still a million times better than having that buffoon back in the office. Look what's happening now. Everybody told, right, the conservatives that this was going to happen. Then nobody listened. No. Now they're all like up in arms because it's finally affecting them, right? When it affected their neighbors or the brown guys coming over living on the right side of the border, but they were brown. Oh yeah, I don't care about them. Who cares? Oh, but now they're feeling it one way or another. Oh, my husband lost his job. What have you? Now they're all like, oh, I didn't vote for this. I didn't vote for this. Fuck you. This is exactly what you all voted for.
And the other thing is that the only people that Trump would hire are sycophants or incompetents or crooks.
Right. Well, no, all of the above. It's a combination of all the above, Philip. It absolutely is all of the above.
One of the most highest-ranking Federal Emergency Management Agency officials says that he was teleported to a Waffle House.
I know. I just read that the other day. I know.
And he's not, they didn't fire him.
I know.
He's a nut.
Because it's all about the narcissistic qualities that he has. It's like, just praise me. That's why they have these weekly meetings in the White House where they all sit around the table and they take turns. You've seen this. They take turns saying something nice about him. Oh, Mr. President, it's been an honor so far to serve you. Like, shut the fuck. Like, how do you do that? How do you listen to yourself do that and not want to slit your own throat? I mean, these people are disgusting just so they can have power, whatever power they think they have in those positions, you know? But yeah, the entire administration, literally every employee, I can't imagine there's a single qualified employee at the White House right now, right? Let me say this. I wanted to address this, Philip, from MLB. MLB says that most people vote R or D no matter what. It's like 3% who are truly independent. And I agree. I'm not with the percentage. I haven't checked it out, so I'll take your word for it, but I don't know what the percentage would be. But here's the thing. So let me tell you how I have kind of voted in my voting life, right? I was never really very political until 9/11, 2001. And not a conscious decision either. I was amazed at what was happening, and I just kept watching the news every day. And that's when I just consciously decided, okay, I want to start learning what all these terms mean. Because up until then, I didn't know left, right, liberal, conservative, neocon, politicon, all these catchphrases, right? I knew nothing. And then, over time, I come to realize that, okay, so if I was living in your country, I would probably more often than not vote Democrat, and that's because primarily because I feel that I'm liberally minded in general terms. For example, I on the one hand, it's funny, I don't know how you see this, Philip, but on the one hand, I am pro abortion, but at the same time, I can say that if it was me in the situation, I'd have to be in the situation to really know what I'd do. But I feel like if it was for me, I would want that child to be born for me, right? That's
pro-choice.
Right, there you go. Okay, but here's the other thing.
There's a difference between being pro-abortion and pro-choice.
Right.
Pro-choice means it's up to the individual and their own conscience, and whatever their religious beliefs are, whoever they want to consult to make that decision, and the government shouldn't be involved in that decision. That's pro-choice. And that means if you choose to have the baby or not to have an abortion, that's fine. And we should support you if you want to do that. That's what pro-choice means.
Right.
And the people who are anti-abortion saying no, it's a crime and therefore it should be illegal.
Yeah, but those same people, this is the hypocrisy of it all, is that those same people typically are the first ones to be rooting or lining up to watch the execution at the state prison,
capital punishment is not against the Protestant religion, apparently. So
whatever.
That's a Catholic. Catholics have to have that conversation with themselves about that, but Protestants don't.
Let me just address the part that I wanted to address. I just wanted to say MLB, and for everybody else who is interested. So ultimately, I ended up, so here in Canada, I would listen to the issues, what these people are arguing about, and I kind of hone in on the issues that sort of seemed more interesting to me. And I think that's the same in the United States, right? Most people tend to be single issue voters a lot of the time. And so I would vote in the way that, okay, on this issue, that issue, I can get behind. I'm interested in that issue. And then I'd vote the way that I felt was the way to go. And it tended to be more liberal. But I will say, MLB, I want you to know this, okay? Because you're saying that most people will vote R or D no matter what. So even though I did, vote D most of the time. Okay. About 15 years ago or so, the D's were in power here in Canada, but they kept having scandals, one scandal after another. It's been so long, I no longer even remember, but just all kinds of friggin' scandals, financial, whatever. And it got so annoying and so frustrating that I finally said to myself, I'm so sick of these people. We need to get rid of them. I need to vote these people out. And how do you vote them out? Easy. You know that in the democratic system, which in Canada and the United States, it's the same. It works the same way. You get 4 years to do your job, and then there's another vote, right? So what did I do? I said, to hell with you, you motherfuckers. I'm so sick of this. We all have the power. So I'm going to get rid of you by giving my vote to the R's, right? So we don't use that same terminology here, but yeah, the Conservative Party. So I voted for the Conservative Party, okay? Not because they're the ones who I normally align with, but simply because it was my way of trying to do my part to get rid of the Democrats. I think they needed to lose power for a while. Because guess what? I figured 4 years, big deal. Let the other side take power for 4 years. Let's see what they can do with it. In 4 years, we can vote again if we don't like it. You know what I mean? That's how I feel like people should be. That doesn't make me, I don't think, an independent. You know what I mean? It just makes me a normal thinking human being who does align with one side over the other most of the time. But I'm perfectly willing to say, hey, when things get bad, it's time for you to go. And if that means letting them take power, I'm good with that. Because again, it's a democratic system. It's 4 years, big deal. Let them have a chance and let's see what they can do, you know? And that's what I did. And when that happened, guess what? A lot of people, it seemed, were sick of the bullshit that the Democrats, right, the Liberal Party were doing, and they lost power. And the Conservatives did take power. And then 4 years later, I was actually pretty happy with how things were going. So guess what I did? I voted again for the Conservative Party. Okay. And then after that was done. They lost. And the Liberals took it back. But that's the whole point. Is that's what's so beautiful about a properly democratic system. That's what I think, right? Like what's that? Like I don't live by the fact of, oh my God, it wasn't pounded into my head by my parents or my grandparents or great grandparents. You always vote Democrat. You always vote liberal or whatever. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is that in the United States, a lot of the conservative side of the country is that way. They are getting it hammered in from one generation to the next. And, you know, so that they grow up believing, oh yeah, we are conservative. We always vote, no matter what, conservative. You know what I mean? Like no exceptions. And that's what I think is sad, is that there's no exceptions. It's like, how do you think that way? Why, like, how do you see what happened in 2016 to 2020 and think that was good for the country? See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's also a huge religious component of Trump support.
That's part of it too. That's a part of it too.
These
For
are
the least
very-
for the least religious person we know. Come on, dude. Like that's the
Yeah,
guy has
look.
never read the Bible, never read a word of the Bible, but he lies about it and everybody
I think
believes
the
it.
post he put out today demonstrates that pretty strongly.
The what?
I mean, the post that you highlighted that he put out today, of all days,
Oh, right.
pretty much demonstrates that. So,
Yeah.
I think people, I know I have a very strong religious acquaintance that I work with, who I actually get along with really well on a lot of other things. And he's actually starting to kind of be sick of Trump too, frankly, at this point. But so to give him credit for that.
Yeah.
You know, the way he was explaining is that the people who are very religious kind of saw Trump as an instrument of divine retribution against their political enemies.
Right.
And the fact that he was horrible was a feature, not a bug. They wanted him to be bad. And they said, we need somebody like that to go after our people who are, destroying America and turning it into this den of iniquity or whatever it is that they're, abortion on every corner and everybody all is turning into trans, whatever their rationale is. And they didn't care. That's why when MLB said people, they hate him, but they voted for him anyway, they know what he is. So pointing it out doesn't turn them against him. They just like, yeah, we know he's a SOB, but he's our SOB for us. It's like, in a hockey analogy, if you've got an enforcer on your team that everybody else in the league hates, but you love because he goes out there and protects your star and beats the crap out of the other guys, he's your guy, but everybody else in the league hates him. That's the way it is.
Right. Matt says, bruh, you don't own a gun. You're right. I don't own a gun. I don't need one, just like you don't need one. Nobody actually needs a gun. And I'm not going to get into that debate because, frankly, it's too long. And this is not a political channel. One Sunday night out of 4 years, I'm fine with it, But yeah, you don't need one. Nobody's coming after you, right? Nobody needs nothing. But like, I'm okay with responsible ownership. But nobody needs to have more than one, Anyways, sure, but
and Democrats don't want to take away. I mean, they just don't. What they want is things like background.
No, I know they don't. But that's what they believe because they're again. It's easy brainwashing, right? If
they do say, yeah, do you need an AR-15? What's that for? That's not a hunting weapon. And if you're saying, I needed to defend my home from whom? ICE?
Yeah.
Who are you defending it from?
No, for sure. If Trump was in the files, Biden would have released it. Now that's the I can't.
He is in the files.
I can't tell you why. I don't actually know. I never delved deep into that. Because there's just so much else to do on a daily basis.
You want me to tell you why?
But I don't know why they didn't deal with it back in those 4 years or whatever. But it's not the point. It's what you just said, Philip. He is in the files, right? Supposedly 38,000 times. We all know it. We all know the accusations. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire, right? Like for you guys Matt, for you to believe that somebody who gets accused of sexual assault by dozens, not just one or two, dozens of women, and then is makes all these creepy comments about his own daughter, clearly showing that he's hot for his own daughter, okay? And when she was 13, 14, and even well into adulthood. And for you guys to keep thinking that this is all just coincidence. Oh, none of that means anything. Oh, no, he's Jeffrey Epstein's best friend for 15 years. Oh, but that doesn't mean anything either. Like to think that is all just one big fat coincidence, bruh. You got something to think about.
Let me ask Matt this question.
Yeah, Matt, this is for you.
All right. What would have happened if Joe Biden had released the files with all that stuff about Trump in them? Like, for example, there was an FBI interview of a 13-year-old, of a woman who said that she was sexually assaulted by Trump when she was 13. The FBI interviewed her multiple times, which means that they thought she was credible. This was done, by the way, during Trump's first administration, and it got buried. No, it went nowhere. She, I guess, said, I'm afraid to press charges. I don't want to say anything because I'm afraid, which they respected. But that was in there, okay? Let's say that came out under Biden. What would have happened? Trump would have denied it, said it would have been made up, said it was all manufactured. Fox News would have repeated that. Every single talk show host would have said that. Every single right-wing propaganda outlet would have said, oh, Biden's just trying to undermine him, trying to stop his campaign, da, 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 da. And every single person like Matt would have believed it, that it was made up. The reason it didn't come out is because of that.
Look at MLB. Again, the popular catchphrases they come up with, right? Not a Trump fan the slightest, but seeing TSD in action is entertaining. Look, dude.
It's TDS. You got it wrong.
Yeah, TDS, right? The TDS is everybody who bought the Orange Buffoons bullshit, hook, line, and sinker from day one. Those are the people who have TDS.
I'm just pointing out that Trump is saying that the January 6th thing never happened. It was all made up.
Right.
And he hard-nosed those people. And all his supporters are buying that. He rewrote history on that. Oh, no, it wasn't violent. Oh, no, it was agitators by the FBI. The Trump was Antifa or whatever. And these people are actually believing this stuff. And they call the people who point this out having Trump derangement syndrome. Those people are idiots. They're idiots for believing that this was made up. Or the whole thing about he had all the top secret files down in Mar-a-Lago stored in his bathroom. He was on the verge of being indicted for that. He had been, the only reason he wasn't is because he had a judge who was favorable to him and kept blocking stuff, sitting on it and running out the clock, and he got reelected president. Had he not been, he'd be in prison right now. I guarantee you. Both the January 6th case and the case of Mar-a-Lago, he had been indicted in the January 6th case already. He was indicted. The prosecutor testified to that, said they indicted him. And he would have been indicted in the Mar-a-Lago case. Donald Trump would be in prison right now if he was not president. That's the reason he ran again.
I know.
Stay out of prison.
To stay out of prison. I know.
He didn't give a crap about the country.
I know.
Save his own ass.
But Matt and other people with Matt's beliefs, they're whatever. They drank the Kool-Aid in 2015. They love the guy, and they think that he knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy. He's a good businessman. All the bullshit that everybody else knew was bullshit decades before he got into politics. But
they think all this stuff that you and I are talking about, Ruben, is all fantasy and conspiracy theories. Right. When we're talking about the real stuff, the stuff there, the 2020 vote was stolen and mail-in ballots are all fraudulent and millions of illegal aliens are voting. That's the nutso stuff. That's completely made up. It's complete fantasy. And there's millions of people who believe it.
So Matt said, here's the catchphrase, you're a fool. Did I ever call you names, Matt? Did I ever call you names at all? Did I ever say anything? I never did anything but welcome you here.
I mean, if you want to tie it to comic art, remember there was a well-known comic art restorer who was arrested at the January 6th attack on the Capitol and who got put in prison for 6 years for assaulting a police officer. So we finally tied it to comic art.
So John says, Matt, if you can't look at the world today as empirically worse than it was a year ago, you're beyond helping. Very true. If Dems are pro-gun, they'd win every election. That might be true. Republicans became pro-choice. They win every election. Well, that's not going to happen, but an interesting point.
The Democrats are not anti-gun. That's a lie.
Yeah, it's a miss. Yeah.
They're not anti-gun.
That's it. So let's see what else we got here. Marcus says that Matt Barr has Rubén derangement syndrome. Hey, Steve Mussolino. Rustin Green says, what's up, Rustin Green, your first timer? Matt Barr is a comics gator best to just ignore. Hey, listen, he's been okay with us. He's been cordial up until today when he insulted me. So we'll
or
see
maybe he was
goes.
talking about me, Rubén. I don't know.
Maybe, but it's not the point. You're still my friend and my guest here, so it's the same thing, you know. So where's EVS? MLB says, I'm pro-gun, pro-choice, so neither party is for me. I'm pro-freedom, so if you want to abort and use a gun, fine with me. I don't care what you do as long as it doesn't affect me. Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, that's good with me. You know, you're putting yourself out there, saying what it is that you know where you stand, basically, right?
Well, if you're pro-freedom, you can't be pro-Trump or Republican. They are not a freedom party by any stretch at this point. Whatever they may have been in the past under Ronald Reagan or somebody, that ain't what they are now. They are a full-on fascist party that has nothing to do with freedom, has nothing to do with, I mean, look at, as soon as, you know, they were okay with a Border Patrol agents shooting a guy in the back in Minneapolis who was lawfully carrying a firearm. He didn't even pull it. So much for being pro-gun, right? Yeah. And it wasn't until the gun people started yelling at him, including the NRA, that they kind of switched around on it. But they were perfectly willing to say, you bring a gun to a protest, your life is forfeit. And guess what? You have a constitutional right to bring a gun to a protest. I may not agree with that, but you do. As long as you're not brandishing it and pointing it at people and threatening people. So don't tell me this crap about Republicans being freedom. They are not. That is not the Republican Party of 2026.
Later, Matt Barr. You had a chance, but you went over the edge. 4 years? No, not is it 4 years? In June, it'll be 4 years. I've been doing this every single week and never had to ban anybody. So congratulations, I guess. You.
What did he say now? What got him banned?
Whatever, just more insults. Whatever, I don't know. Once you get rid of them, it gets rid of their comments as well. So that's it. Listen, I knew there would be people who love Trump here coming in, popping in, and people who are here every week. I know there's people who vote for Trump and who are Republican.
There are prominent people. I'm not an anti. You support him.
Listen, I'm not anti-Republican, anti-conservative, whatever. Everything was great for me and for life and all of us in general, I would say, up until 2015, okay, when everything began to go down in the shitter. I miss the days when you could talk properly, whether, you have a Republican and a Democrat, and you could talk and shoot the shit about politics, and you end up disagreeing, but you don't normally end up hating each other. You know what I mean? But it's gotten to the point where the orange buffoon has taken it, right, for the last 11 years to a place where it's all about sowing hatred. It's this side and division, right? This side against that side, right? Calling the one side, the traitors, and the other side patriots, blah, 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 to sow those seeds of hatred between each other. You know what I mean? So for me, that's the problem. It's not either way you vote is not a problem. He's the problem. He's my fucking problem. He's everybody's problem. He's the one who has destroyed the discourse in not only the country, but across the world politically. People hating each other. No, families torn apart. That never really used to happen up until this douche came along. Right?
I have strongly held beliefs about things, and I vote a certain way. My always philosophy is I can respect somebody who disagrees with me if they're logically consistent about what they believe. If their positions are factual, they're logically consistent and coherent, and the way they're voting matches that, even if I don't agree with them, I go, okay, I respect that. Okay. Let's say you're a very religious person and you oppose abortion rights because you believe it's murder. Okay. And it's very strongly held belief with you. I may not agree with your position on that, but I respect that. That's a legitimate position to hold. What I don't like are the people who say one thing and then vote a different way, which is almost every single Trump supporter at this point. They say they believe in certain things that he absolutely is the exact opposite about. And I'm not just talking about him personally, every single policy position he holds. I mean, he destroyed the USAID when he came into office, which helped millions of people around the world, protecting them from starvation. And they had contracts with the Catholic Charities, for crying out loud, who sued the administration over it. Now, I don't know any conservative Republican who opposes Catholic Charities and helping out people who are poor and around the world as far as benefiting. But that's what they said. Well, we don't want our, I mean, I guess they could say we don't want our tax dollars going to that, but you can't say that you're a strong Christian and then say, okay, let's starve a bunch of kids in Africa. That doesn't make any sense.
So we got a new newbie in the house saying that it's just two Democrats blowing each other through the internet. You both sound like crybabies. It's so typical that you can't form
tell him to join
a cohesive thought or argument, right?
He's welcome to join, right? You send him a link. You want to come on here and argue your position? Go ahead.
Too late. If you're too late, I would. If you're a normal human being capable of being respectful to others, that would be fine.
And technically, Rubén is not really a Democrat. He's Canadian.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So there you go. See you later there, Robo, whatever your name was. But anyways, MLB also says, I preferred Kamala, but if you don't tell someone exactly what they want to hear, the TDS kicks in and they think you are an Orange Man fan. Yeah, listen, there's all kinds of crap going. Look, right now, assuming there was no cheating or whatever going on, what Philip said earlier is true. Certainly, if we could, assuming we can trust there's no crazy cheating going on, okay, with, again, trying to get rid of the mail-in voting and trying to pass that law or whatever there, that bill, so that the women who had their who used their husbands' names, right, their husbands' names on their ID instead of their own. So if you make it so that it's ID, you have to have ID for voting, right? There's gonna be a bunch of people who won't be able to vote. All those that's what I mean. Those kinds of cheating ways, if they keep doing that, anything can happen. But if there is fair and square elections come November, it's certainly looking like it would be an absolute demolishment of Trump and the party, right? In the midterms. It absolutely looks like it. It looks, because you can tell just from the sheer number of people who voted for the buffoon, who are on all over YouTube, all over the internet, crying, raging, about him. These are the people that will either not vote. That's probably the more likely scenario. They will just not go to the poll, or they may put the either the Democratic candidate or one of the independents or whatever, and they'll vote for somebody else, but they won't tell anybody. They won't tell their friends. They won't tell their other Republican voting friends, family, whatever. That's the craziness of it all, is that when it bothers them, they will either stop voting or change the vote to to some other party, protest. But they'll keep it silent. They won't admit to anybody what they did. You know what I mean? Because they're so fearful. There's there's this insane amount of fear with the Conservative Party that it's like, oh my God, they might kill me if I admit that, oh, I'm not going to vote that way this time. You know what I mean? Shit, if you should even just mention online that, oh, I really don't like what Trump is doing, you know, they're scared to say things like that because tons of MAGA people are going to be all over them. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, they'll do it in secret. And I do think that that's what's going to happen in November, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, you know? And MLB says, you need ID for everything. If voting is important, you should need it for that. Again, as long as it's fair for everybody, you can't just insert that rule willy-nilly a few months before an election, right? Because like I said earlier, MLB, about the women with who gave up their maiden name to take their husband's name. Like, it takes time. It takes time for everybody to have to go and change all their ID that they already have, change it back to their old names, blah, blah, blah.
Here's another reason why that's a stupid argument. Okay, first of all,
I don't think it's stupid. And it's not a too bad idea. I agree. I feel okay with it, but without implementing it immediately.
First of all, voting is a right. Okay, it's not like driving a car or going into Costco, right? It is a right. You can't take away. So once you give the government the power to become a gatekeeper about when, where, and to whom they issue identification, and you give that power to bureaucrats who are either lazy, incompetent, maybe they're corrupt or evil and deliberately are trying to screw you, or you say things like mail-in ballots can't, if they were mailed, they don't arrive by election day. Well, if you control the post office, you control when the mail gets there.
Right.
So if you start creating rules like that, you are preventing people from voting. You're giving your right to vote to a gatekeeper who may not be an honest broker. That's the problem. The burden should be on the government to prove that you are not a citizen and that you're not eligible to vote. And additionally, this is trying to solve a problem that really isn't a real problem. The number of illegal, false identified voters or whatever is so minuscule out of the hundreds of millions of votes every year. It's a manufactured, non-existent problem. Just like all the criminal, a criminal, an illegal alien killed somebody compared to 10,000 American citizens who did the same thing. But they don't highlight those.
Yeah.
So it's not a real problem. And you're giving the power to the government to say who can get a passport or get their identification or get their birth certificate in a timely manner. And then you can take voter data and say, oh, all the people from this Democratic precinct or state, we're going to slow walk them so they don't get their IDs and can't vote in a timely manner. But we're going to fast track all the Trump supporting areas. That's why you don't pass that. What you do is you create a universal identification that issues to every single citizen, regardless of whether they're registered to vote. And you make it easy and free to get. Right. Then you can talk about it. But if you have anything else, there's any restrictions or anything else, you are causing potential ability to screw with the election.
Yeah, MLB says that sounds weak to me. It's easy to get an ID. If it helps prevent fraud, I am for it. Let me just say something.
You can get a fake ID.
Yeah. So let me just say something about that, MLB. It's one of the weakest arguments on the R side, and the reason is because it has been proven. Okay, now whether you want to believe it or not, that's up to you, right? It has already been proven. The 2020 election, remember the one that, right, that the buffoon claimed he got cheated out of, right? Because the Democrats cheated, right? it was already stated and proven that it was the safest election in American history, right? And it has already also been proven that election fraud in the United States of America is not and has never really been an issue. Okay?
It has been an issue.
It has not been.
19th century, and then people argue in 1960 there were some shenanigans in Texas and Chicago. But in the last 50 years, really hasn't been.
Okay, and certainly, but certainly in like on a big, large scale. Okay, on a big, large scale. There's no issue. Again, we're now in 2026. As of 2020, don't forget also MLB, he sued 60 times, 60 or 63 times in different courts. He lost every single one of them. That's not because the judges were against him. It's because he had no proof of any cheating, because he made it all up. Okay? He's a narcissist. So 6 months before the election, when the winds of change were flowing against him, he realized he was going to lose the election, and he's too much of a baby to ever admit that he loses, right? He doesn't want to ever say he lost at anything. He began on his daily campaign rallies, he began saying, oh, we're doing great. He had already been saying we're doing great. But that's when he suddenly, 6 months out, he started saying, not only are we doing great, but the only way that we lose this election is if they cheat. Because he knew that that's where it was going. He knew he was probably going to lose. Things were going away from him, and that was it. He knew he was going to lose. He wanted to have an excuse for the loss, right? Because he can't ever admit that he lost at something. It's his ego. So he started lying about cheating. And then 80 million people believed it because they love him. They love how he insults people. And so he's their guy. And that's it. There was no cheating. So yes, I'm okay if you do voter ID. Again, as I said, as long as you do it far out, and I'm not even 6 months. Okay, put it like 2 years. Okay, because then no citizen has an excuse at that point, right? Like procrastination, that's your problem. So give it 2 years. From that day forward, you should get yourself an ID. And from now on, from that point forward, you got to use your ID to vote, whatever. Again, I'd be okay with it. It's not the point.
I have three more reasons why voter ID laws as they're currently constituted, are completely stupid. Number one, you just mentioned putting the ID requirement out several years. We had a requirement in the United States for what's called real ID, right? So a real ID, when you get your driver's license or when you travel, it verifies that you're the actual person. There's a certain background requirements that you have to meet. It took 25 years to implement that. They had to keep pushing it back every year because it was so hard to implement. So the idea that we're going to push this out through in 6 months is incompetently stupid. Okay. Number two, one of the premises of the so-called voter fraud argument is that these so-called non-citizens or people who are not eligible to vote are voting. Well, if MLB wants to look this up, there was a trial in Kansas in federal court where the Secretary of State of Kansas implemented his version of the, quote, SAVE Act and was purging Hispanic and foreign sounding people off of the voter rolls in Kansas because he said that they were all illegal voters. There was a federal trial. The ACLU sued him. He had to try to support this argument with evidence and experts, and he got the bejesus kicked out of him. He got destroyed in federal court. Why? Because when you actually have to present evidence, and you can't just go on Fox News and lie, and you can't go on Joe Rogan and lie and make stuff up, and you can't just post stupid things on Truth Social and lie. You actually have to be held to a standard where you have to present evidence that could be cross-examined by competent people. You lose. So this guy, the Secretary of State of Kansas, by the name of Chris Kobach, he's like the grandfather of this whole nonsense. He got destroyed in federal court. It's baloney. It doesn't happen. Now, is there probably some voter fraud that happens every election in the United States? Probably several hundred examples of it, I guess, every election spread out among several 100 million votes. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm saying it's very rare, and you're imposing restrictions that's going to cause more people to not be able to vote to correct a problem that very rarely happens.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you for the well thought out arguments. So yeah,
I forgot the third point.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, that's okay.
The third point is just pure logic. If you, let's say you get a 10-year prison sentence for illegally voting or illegally playing a lottery, and the chances of you getting caught were 50-50, 50% chance you get caught, it's a 10-year prison sentence for playing the lottery. And then on top of you winning even if you won the lottery, you'd win $5. Who the hell is going to play that lottery?
Right.
That's what illegal voting is like. If you are illegally voting, if you're an illegal alien or if you're a non-citizen and you're voting, the chances you get caught are at least 50-50, and there's harsh penalties for it, including deportation and the like, prison. So, and what's the payoff for it? How many times is an election decided by one vote? So you're getting no payoff for voting and at the risk of getting deported or put in prison. So that's why people don't do it. Plus, you have to go through the whole process of obtaining a fake ID and doing all these other things, which then exposes you to more risk. And I would add the fact, if there are non-citizens voting, the vast majority of them are not illegal. They're probably green card holders or people who are on student visas. They're more likely to be legally here, not illegally here. And you know what, frankly, I think green card permanent residents should be able to vote. They live here. They should vote. Why can't they? There's nothing in the Constitution that says that the voting is restricted to citizens.
So MLB says
that's just convention.
MLB is saying, so anyone without an ID, I personally don't care if they can vote or not. If you need ID to work, drive, fly, go to a federal building, or buy alcohol. So who are these people who can't get an ID in 1 or 2 years? But here's the thing. I just want to wrap this up because of the fact that, again, MLB, what I'm saying ultimately, whether they have voter ID or not, whatever, it's really it's a topic that doesn't need to have a lot of time spent on it, because, as I said, guess what? There isn't a whole load of voting, scam voting going on. It doesn't exist. Okay, there was a few dozen incidents, and in many of the ones that were reported on, it was a Republican voting. So it's like, who cares? It's really a non-issue. That whole issue, it's just a non-issue, because there isn't a whole. It's not like there's millions, as the orange buffoon would like you to believe. There aren't millions of people that are illegal voting that are not supposed to vote.
And I would point to address MLB's argument there. I just made an argument from the logical standpoint of why a person who's not a citizen wouldn't fake an ID and vote, because the payoff is so low.
Right.
That's the same. All the things he mentioned, driving, getting a liquor license, flying, those are personal things people actually want to do. Voting. So you get some benefit out of it. You go get your favorite bottle of wine. You go to the movie. You get to drive your car to go to work. You get to go to, whatever. You get to fly and go on vacation. that's a big reward for having an ID. So you have a big incentive to get one. If you are a voter, you need to reduce the barriers to voting, because if there's any barrier to voting, it's already a small payoff for that. You don't have any guarantee that your vote's going to matter in American elections to begin with. So if you put up the smallest little barrier, oh, I got to go down to the clerk in the state, next door because, I got married and I live in Minnesota and I'm from Wisconsin and I got to go to Wisconsin to go get a birth certificate. That's too much hassle. That's the purpose of those voter ID requirements, is to discourage people from registering and creating barriers to voting, because they want to discourage the people from having an incentive to vote. The people that are mad, the people that are mad at you, you don't want them voting, making it easy for them to vote. And Trump's got a lot of people mad at him, so he wants to make it harder for the people to vote. I'm not saying it's impossible. Of course they can get one. If you're motivated, you'll get one. But voting, there's not a lot of payoff to it. It's more of a psychosocial satisfaction. So it does. That's why it's different. And plus, it's a right. Nobody has a right to fly or go to get alcohol or even drive. It's not a constitutional right.
Check it out. So MLB says, well, I don't care if there's only one. Let's cut it down to 0. And before I address that, Steve then says, I just heard Rubén for 2 hours say Trump cheated. So get ID, make it harder to cheat, make people feel like it's more secure, even if it doesn't move the needle. Look, there are so many things going on. I don't know for a fact. I'm just saying, Steve, I'm just saying that what I saw, it looks like there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that it sure makes it seem like there was some kind of cheating going on. But I have no proof, so whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't harp on that aspect of it all because, I live in the moment. What's done is done. Okay, now he's in. What are we going to do now, right? But as far as what MLB is saying, you're kind of losing. That's where you start to lose the argument. There's nothing to talk about anymore with this comment. Because, yes, I think most people would agree with you, right? Most people would agree with you and say, yes, I don't want anybody to cheat, right? I don't want anybody to vote if they don't have the right to vote. So let's cut it to 0. Okay, but the reality of it is that there are so many issues that need to be taken care of. They can't all be taken care of, right? And so you gotta choose, pick and choose the most important ones. And here's the thing. If you believe what I say and that there's at most a few dozen illegal votes that come in, right? And you say, okay, let's say they get it down to only 1. Let's fight to get it down to 0. Like, how many more millions and hundreds of millions of dollars do you want the government to spend trying to get it so that, there's not even one person can there's always going to be experts at cheating at something, right? So there's always going to get 1 or 2 that get through. So, you know what I mean? But the point being that in a country of hundreds of millions, right? The few that do vote illegally are not going to make a difference in the end. They're not. It ain't going to even come close to changing the outcome of any election ever. That's what I'm saying.
And I would add a couple of things. One is MLB is a supporter of gun rights. I mean, I could say, hey, let's get gun deaths down to 0. So we need to go after every single gun, go into everybody's home, take every single gun out of their house, put anybody who resisted in prison. Okay? We can go to the greatest extent, if you want, to go get to 0 gun deaths. But you obviously would oppose that because it would be a massive infringement on your rights. That's what you're saying. We're going to infringe on people's rights. Look, if the number of people who commit voter fraud is let's say 1,000 every election. I'll be charitable. Say it's 1,000. It's probably more like in the dozens or hundreds. But the voter IDs discourage or prevent 1 million people from voting. What if you're basically using nuclear weapon to swat a fly? It's stupid. And saying you want to, and by the way, the fraud that I'm more worried about is the people who run the government and count the votes lying and cheating. It ain't the voters that I'm worried about committing fraud. It's the people who are running our government that count the votes that you got to worry about, or who can slow down the mail or not deliver the mail ballots.
Well, now, yeah. Before, no,
That's
but
a
now,
real problem.
yeah, not
Okay,
even
I'm more worried about that.
Even from 2016 to 2020, you didn't have that fear, but now that there are no more actual politicians and military people, experienced people in the administration, and they're all just yes men and women. Yes, now that is a fear. That is a fear because they're willing to do anything.
Argued a case in front of the Supreme Court to argue that you can't count mail-in ballots if they arrive after Election Day, even if they were mailed before Election Day, post-dated. Well, and some of the Supreme Court, the majority of the conservatives seem to support that position. That's an invitation to massive fuckery of the election by the Trump administration, because all you have to do is delay ballots. Just say, stick them in over here and don't deliver them until after Election Day. You disenfranchise millions of people that way.
That's it.
And what are you going to do to fix it? Trump can pardon the guy if there's a crime. Can't do anything about it. You're going to impeach him? Well, the Congress that they just prevented from being elected, well, they can't do anything. See, that's the problem you got to worry about. And they're saying, okay, worry about some illegal immigrant gardener getting a fake ID and voting in the California election when his vote ain't going to mean diddly squat. Right. They're worried about that, which makes no logical sense.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm not opposed to ID as long as you get a universal ID that's free to everybody, that's issued to all citizens, regardless of whether they're registered to vote, that follows them wherever they go, and you can put whatever you want. You put a chip on there and put their DNA, whatever the hell you want on there for security. But they have a constitutional right to that card, and they go wherever they go, and this is my proof of my citizenship, and you can't do anything about it. And then you put the burden on the state to prove they're not a citizen. And if they deprive somebody of a constitutional right to vote that is a citizen, put the person who did it in jail and give them the right to sue this government agency that prevented them for millions of dollars for depriving me of my vote. Guess what?
Yeah,
that'll change things. I'm not worried about illegal voting. I'm worried about the people who count the votes. And I'd love to continue this, but we got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to come so you're not out here solo.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Philip. You're out of here then?
Yeah. Good luck, everybody. Happy Easter to those who celebrate. And happy sorry Passover. For those who are Trump supporters who didn't hear things they wanted to hear.
Are you guys celebrating Passover?
Actually, ironically, my family, the reason I'm up is because my family is visiting relatives in Toronto right now.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Okay. Not too close, but not too far. 5-hour drive from me,
Yeah. Well, it's about 6 hours for us from here. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
6 to 7, something like that.
Okay. Close. So it's close. Yeah.
But anyway.
I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate it.
I can rant and rave because there's nobody around to hear me.
Yeah.
Although there was some sort of weird thing going on next door. There's some emergency vehicles that were making noise. I don't know what that was, but
I didn't hear it. We didn't hear it. It didn't pick up. So
Yeah,
good.
it was a weird sound. So,
Okay. Well, we're good, man. And listen, like I said, I appreciate you coming on. And it's always like, it's always a lot easier to not do it solo. So it's very, very, very appreciated.
probably lost a lot of commenters here.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll get him back. We'll see. We'll see. Or maybe I'll just shut it down and leave it as an all political episode. I don't know. We'll
Anyway.
see. I'll see how it goes.
I just, my whole thing about voter ID is it's just a bad faith argument that sounds good to reasonable people until you just dive into it and realize how many flaws there are of the whole argument. And if it was a real, consistent, big problem, yeah, fix it. But it's not. And so the only purpose of it, if you're going to do voter ID, why can't you use a student identification? Why? Hey, I got a picture ID. I'm a student at this university. Why can't I use that to identify myself? Well, there's a reason. They pick and choose which IDs they will honor and which ones they won't. Your hunting license they'll honor. Why? Because hunters tend to be Republicans. And students tend to be Democrats. So they don't want them voting. That's the whole thing. He said, if you're going to do this, make it so it's a universal, easy to obtain identification that is free and that can't be messed with. And that no state can say, well, I'm not taking that ID, or we do just take this ID or not that ID. And then the states, they move the polling places out of college campuses and put them 30 miles away, so the college students have to travel. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that they're doing in Republican states like North Carolina.
Yeah.
They are. Anyway.
All right, Philip.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. So, let me see. Let me get to your comments, everybody. I did want to say, well, MLB, yeah, that's the thing. See, this is the thing. I wanted to be clear. Never have I ever given a crap about whether you vote this way or whether you vote that way. That doesn't matter. That's part of, being human. You grow up a certain way, you learn certain things, you believe certain things, you don't believe certain things. And so you tend to sort of go one way or the other. That's understandable. That's okay. And as long as you are respectful to other people, you can still have a conversation with people who don't think about those things, those issues the same way as you do. And that's all I was basically, this is at the root of all of this. This isn't about, Republican and Democrat. It's not that at all. Because it used to be okay. It used to be okay before 2015 to be either, And I could talk to anybody about politics in the United States, on either side, and we'd have a good conversation, whether we agreed on the issues or not. And it just made it fun. It was interesting, But no, ever since the Agent Orange, let's call him, came in, it's just been 11 years of formulated hatred, division, divide both sides. It's divide and conquer. It's being done. He did that on purpose. And that's it. It's the hatred. Everybody hating each other. I never banned anybody from my channel. And tonight had to ban 3 people because they couldn't just make normal comments, right, to support their own argument. Instead, they resorted to making their comments insults. I mean, how stupid. That's the problem. If all you want to do is insult people, that's it, right? Like you're not going to be able to. You're not somebody who's capable of having a conversation with. So there you go. Let's talk the state of State of baseball. ID, no one cares about the flaws. They just want to feel better about it. To get hunting license, you probably need an ID. I would think so. How did this all start? Ruben upset over Trump tweet blowing up the bridges. Indeed, Steve Mussolino. This one, baby, this one. There you go. This was today. So it's just kind of like seriously, enough is enough, man. Like, we need normalcy to come back. You know, we absolutely need normalcy to come back. That's it. You can be a minor and still get a hunting license, so no ID could be wrong. So even you guys are not even sure. Actually, you would get a bigger audience, Ruben, talking politics than art. That is true. That is true. But I do not want to do that. You know, just reading the, you know, or listening to the news on a daily basis, what's happening. That's already stressful enough, you know. MLB says that the only hardcore party members are divided. Oh, only the hardcore party members are divided. They make themselves known, but regular folks get along fine. Parents need to go with you if you're a minor, talking about the guns. And Caesar drops in to say, I have an art page that has JFK, RFK, and MLK on it. That's cool. I mean, I like those. And listen, just to be clear, if they were Republican presidents, right, and it was a page of interest to me, I'd own that. I don't care. I've always thought it was cool, you know, to have presidents. It doesn't matter what party they're from, you know. Yeah, for me, this ain't about right and left. This is strictly about the color orange. That's it. It needs to be done away with permanently and forever. And then all the belief system that he created. Because that's what's destroying America. That's what's destroying the rest of the world right now. And no one's upset by higher prices. Oh, sure, I'm sure. I am sure. And Mara says, this was very entertaining. Well, I'm glad, Mara. It's the most entertainment you've ever had. Who cares about comic art? And I appreciate you being here. Very cool. And without Rich, too. Rich comes in only later, then he disappears again. That's awesome. Trying to get it back to comic art. I know you are. Try not to read the news, too depressing. Yeah, I sometimes feel that way, but I can't get myself to do that, Michael, because I feel that's the equivalent of sticking your head in the sand, right? That's how what's happening now ends up happening, is the more people who stick their heads in the sand because they don't want to hear anything, right? They don't know what's going on. You end up being ignorant, right, of everything going on. And that's when a lot, you know, problems get a lot worse, you know? So Steve says, what would Jack Kirby do? That's what we must ask ourselves. Yeah, need ID, most states into hunt, says MLB. I would think so. Some kind of license. I should invite Berkey. You're welcome, Mara. No, it's awesome. It was great to having you here for sure, man. JC says, I'm going to vote in 2028 for whomever lowers OA prices. Seriously. Oh my gosh. Politics isn't Rich's thing. I get it. It's a lot of people, you know. I get it. Tariffs are a thing. Well, they're not really a thing for original art, though, right? We're lucky. We lucked out that the original art was not affected by the tariff situation. At least not insofar as me in Canada and American collectors are concerned. I can tell you that much. Haven't had a problem so far. And if anything, my packages have been getting to you guys really fast in recent, I don't know, in the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Yeah. So like somehow the delivery service from the post office is improving, if you can believe that. It's pretty wild. And Peter telling Shemp Caesar that he's got 2 presidential appearance pages as well, Johnson and Nixon. There we go. We should ask ourselves more often, Steve. There we go. Robert Berman. I wanted to talk to Robert. Says, no, the new 10% tariff covers anything entering the USA. Which new 10% tariff? You're talking about the one that when he got pissed off, like, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, that one? Is that the one you were talking about, Robert? Let me see. That's the one. That's the 10% tariff. Okay, well, let me tell you this. I can only tell you what I know and what I'm aware of, all right? So I, ever since then, have sent, I don't know how many packages, but I've sent multiple packages since that happened. And so far, if the recipients got charged for the 10%, they certainly didn't tell me. And I got to tell you, while that is certainly possible that they got charged and they didn't say anything to me, I find it hard to believe. I got to say, I find it really hard to believe. In a hobby like ours, where collectors have always had an issue with something as simple as shipping, right? A lot of complainers about, oh, the shipping charges, oh, too much for shipping, you know, even though they're spending thousands of dollars on a piece of art. I find it very, very hard to believe that none of the people that I've shipped to, you know, that they would have gotten charged the 10%, and that none of them, not even a single one of them, thought, hey, let me reach out and tell them, hey, I got dinged for 10%. Because collectors tend to do that. That's what they do, you know? Even if it was just to ask me, oh, did you know there was a 10% tariff? I got dinged, you know, something like that. But nothing so far. Nothing so far. So I'm hoping that the that's the one, Robert, the one that he said ends in 150 days, but they said that could be renewed anyways. It could be renewed again for another 150 or whatever. But like I said, not a single person so far has reached out to me to say, hey, I got dinged for tariffs, you know? Oh, and keep in mind, I also ship some art to America from the UK. So I ship personally from Canada, right? But then Mike Perkins also ships art that he has from the UK. And I'm including those packages. So even the ones he's sending in from the UK, including those packages, not a single person has reached out to me so far to say, oh man, I got dinged for a tariff. Not one. So I'm not convinced that they're charging everybody. I have a feeling that they're still paying attention to the HS code that we put on the package. I think they're still paying attention to the HS code. And if they do pay attention to the HS code, they look it up and it says art. Then they look at the column over to the right and it says duty free. And so I think they're still probably doing that and following that rule, you know? I had some art get sent back to South America due to the problem. Wow. That sucks, but that's not the South American seller's fault though, Robert. So just FYI, that sucks for them because you're basically penalizing them. And it has nothing to do with them. It's your president, right? It's his fault. It's your own government's fault. It has nothing to do with the seller, right? Everybody who imports art from another country, it's the importer's responsibility to know what's going on and to find out if there's going to be any kind of import duties, tariffs, taxes, or whatever, you know? So I actually feel bad for that guy because he loses his sale now, you know? But now you know that it's happening sometimes at least. Just for now, don't buy anything from outside the country, I guess, you know? Yeah, indeed. Yeah, the system's messed up right now. Yeah. Exactly. And Rich says Rich says, speaking of tariffs, I mentioned a few weeks back that I got charged the tariff from the FedEx from art that I bought from a Canadian seller. I eventually paid it after getting a few past due letters from FedEx. Then this week I got a refund check from FedEx for the full amount I paid. Wow. Congrats, Rich. And that's probably because of the court case that came down and said that the tariffs are illegal. You know? That's wild, man. It's so crazy. It's so crazy what's going on now. You know? Wow. And you got the art delivered back in February. Wow. That's so nutty, man. So nutty. And let me see. It's basically a hostage situation. Indeed, yeah. Yeah, pretty crazy. Robert says that I didn't ask the art to get sent back. It got bounced back by the post office. That's so weird. Like, it doesn't make sense. Why would they bounce it back? Probably because the employee who dealt with it, they probably just had no clue how to handle it. And so they said, oh, I'll just send this one back. You know what I mean? Because even it's not really their fault either, right? It's all Trump's fault. That's the problem, because he's the one on a whim changing the rules, right? Oh, there's this tariff. Oh, then tomorrow, no, it's only half the amount. And then there's no tariff. Oh, and then the court case comes. Yeah, definitely no tariffs. No tariffs? Okay. But then under this rule and law, I can put a new tariff. It's just crazy. No wonder nobody can keep up. Of course they can, Yeah, a court case causing the refund. Right. Jerry, born in the house, says, no, it's because artwork is not subject to the duties and the assessed duties were a mistake. Well, no, but that's the thing, Jerry. That was the original tariffs that he had put on, right? And they got declared illegal. And so they said, okay, I guess we're going to have to, we're going to have to return this money. But then when that court ruling came down saying that the tariffs were illegal, then Agent Orange said, okay, then from now on, under this new rule or whatever, this thing in the Constitution or whatever, I'm going to impose a new tariff of 10% that is not subject to the rules of the other tariffs, So it's just hard to keep up, dude. Dude's an orange agent of chaos. Yeah, indeed, man, indeed. And Tom's back. Tom left, and now he's back. Yeah, so anyways, whatever. It is what it is. But Robert, I wanted you to know, I've been saving this since you posted it 2 hours ago, and I apologize. You probably figured it out on your own already, but I did want to confirm that when you posted this, right, saying, here's an article from Yale Law Review, surveying the doctrine of military versus civilian targets in recent decades. So live chatters do not have the ability to put links in the chat. And so as soon as you put it in, it disappears. Yeah, so sorry about that. It's not a me thing, it's a YouTube thing. Nobody can put links in the chat except for the person who owns the channel, basically, So yeah, so that's that. And let me see what else is happening out there, guys. What's happening? Is there anything anybody wants to report, talk about comic wise at all? Mike Asbill in the house. We live in a complicated world that seems to get more so each day. Indeed. And Robert says, I also put in a link showing that people with green card may not legally vote. Thank you. But there you go. Now you understand why it just doesn't show. Yeah. And so Steve says, I had art held up from France for 20% duty. Is that the one you told me when you came on? The gallery insisted, yeah, customs was wrong. I appeal, I won, and then they released the artwork, and this was in November. Yeah. That's the one you told us about. Yeah. When you were here and you came into the studio. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's all crappy. It's all shitty. What's going on? It's hard to keep track of what's happening. Like I said, some people are saying they're getting tariffs charged, and I'm telling you that at least my packages, I guess I don't know 100% for sure whether they're getting tariffed or not, but if they are, as I said, if my buyers are getting tariffed, none of them have complained so far. And I find that shocking that nobody would have, not even one person would have complained. Somebody would have complained by now. So my gut tells me I feel very, very certain that my packages are not getting charged tariffs. But yeah, I'm going to keep assuming that until somebody complains and tells me that they got charged tariffs, So MLB says, comic-wise, I try looking at comics and find it so boring. Every week, less and less. Come on, man. You got to get something. You got to be something happy about it, And by the way, MLB, I appreciate you being the only one or one or two, because user Insler was okay as well. A couple of you guys who were respectful in your comments and your thoughts and your opinions and your views, about the political discourse we were having earlier. I do appreciate that, and that's all it takes. Just be polite, and we can argue about it. We can discuss and argue if we have to, but just be polite. There's no need to insult people. Good night, Mara. Thank you again for dropping in and taking part. Thank you. See you all next week. Bye. And Rich says, I'm going through withdrawal. It's been a whole week since I got new art. You know how it is, Rich. You know how it is. Oh, that's funny. And even Tom's laughing at you, see? Haven't got any in 3 weeks. Man, you guys are bad. MLB says, I only look at comics to resell and use that money to get other collectibles. Hard to do that even. Just seems like mass-produced garbage. Hey, if it was easy, we'd all be doing it all the time, right? Yeah, you got to do what you got to do to try, though, I suppose. But yeah, Tom does get other packages like toys and book swag. We know that. No love for Daredevil blind bags. I don't know which one of the guys you're throwing that at. Maki says, I hear you. Easy to get down with all the sad, bad news, but I don't fault people for their own political views. Politics is a slippery slope. For sure. Absolutely. That's why, I try to stay away from it here on the show, because it polarizes. But for the most part, we have stayed away from it, whatever, But I just had to get it off my chest, whatever. My channel, I say what I want, I can do what I want. So I figured, why not? And frankly, it's also because it's not even about, I want it to be absolutely 100% clear. It's not about, I'm a what do you call it? I'm a leftist or I'm a rightist. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's all about how just politeness, politics has just gone away because of the orange buffoon, right? It's like the civility is gone or going away, That's it. That's it. For me, it's not about, I don't care. I don't care if conservatives, from time to time, Democrats are in power. From time to time, conservatives are in power. And they switch back and forth. That's what a democracy is. That's well and dandy. That's not my issue. I'm just fed up with the Agent Orange. That whole shit and what he's doing to your country and in some respects to ours and to other ones across the ocean. This has wide-reaching implications. It's not just you guys, Again, I just paid $7.56 a gallon for my gasoline a few days ago. So, and the food prices are ridiculously high as well. Anyways, so back to comics and comic art. I'm reading Transformers TPB. Not bad. Ooh, Marcus is going to be your best friend now. Rich, good night, Mara. See you next week. Oh, that's so funny. That's good. I like Disney Plus, Daredevil season 2. Good night, Mara. Had to defend your generalizations against Republicans loving Trump, brainwashed, unintelligent. A lot of them are. I'm not saying they all are. A lot of them are. But no, like I said, you know, you took your stance and you did it in a polite way. You just, that's it. Like, it's not difficult. It's not difficult to just be yourself and not have to insult somebody. You know, you got a couple of guys that came here for the first time, or actually maybe for the 4th or 5th time, and they start insulting. The first time they hear this topic come on my show, and immediately start calling, like name calling, like basically like Trump behavior, right? This is the problem. There you go. Those are the types of people that buffoon has taken over their brains, brain rot, you know? There was no need to start getting insulting like that. So that's it. Like, I'm not going to stand for that shit. I don't got, you know, I ain't got time for that. So that's it. You do that, okay? I never used the ban button before. Might as well use it tonight, right? Rereading Frank Miller Daredevil run recently. That's always a good for entertaining a few hours for sure. Once I know what just like to buy guns or religious. If Kamala said she was pro-choice, she would vote her. And the race card was lame. No. But Obama won. Yeah, Obama won twice. But against a lot of racism. There was still a hell of a lot of racism, and there still is, by the current president, right? There's absolutely race bullshit going on. It doesn't always affect the outcome of an election, but a lot of people will or won't vote because of it. That's for sure. Would have voted for Trump if he was pro-choice and Kamala was pro-life. It's possible. It's possible. Most vote issues, not people, right? So being a lawyer and black is right. I don't think so, but we'll agree to disagree. That's okay. We you know, again, this is what I'm saying. We each have the right to our opinion. We stated it, and that's that. So that's it. Okay, so let me see. MLB, any art in your world? David says, anybody pick up Planet Death, Planet Size sketchbook by Tomas Giorello? Not me. Anybody else? Jerry Bourne says, how do you know if you're overpaying for a piece? Does everyone just ask around? I mean, a lot of people who don't know ask around for sure, you know. You overpay if we're inexperienced. I want to buy a piece that I think is about 2 times what it should be, but I mean, that's a good point. But yeah, ask around as much as you can. Again, look for comps. Look for comparables as much as you can. Spend time looking online. The first spot should be the archives on HA.com, Heritage website. Look into their archives. First place you should look. See if you can find comps. If not, look at other websites, eBay, wherever you can. Find comps as close as possible as you can, you know? And that's all you can do. And then you'll learn by experience. Yeah, go with your gut feeling, though. I definitely say that. If you feel it's way too much, you know, and if you can't get any opinions on the matter, I say stay away. Stand down and don't buy. Otherwise, there's a good chance you may regret, you know. Oh, they both apply, Marcus. Shaggy says, was anyone lucky enough to get an original art cover from DD Blind Bags? Well, that's what Marcus was saying, and I don't know anything about that. I don't follow that market, so I'm staying out of that. Giorello is terrific. Yeah, he's a good artist for sure. All right, MLB. We're switching to the art. We've done enough. 2.5 hours on the politics. That's good enough. But yes, they are. I know they are. Binds a deer when we're bulletproof vest. That's an anti-gun language. Why gun owners voted Trump? Yeah, What have you? What are you gonna do? But see, that's the thing. You see, MLB, I got to get off the topic because again, I do want to do something that's a little bit more, fun, that related to the channel to talk about. But as you can see, I don't ignore you just because you might be saying things that I don't agree with. That's the whole point. We could all still come together in friendship and discuss serious issues, right? And keep disagreeing if we have to. That's not a problem. But anyways, so that's it. Anyone have anything else? If not, I think I'm going to call this one. Oh, tired. I watched a few movies, but I'll save that maybe for a future hangout when we got more time, since we've already spent the 2.5 hours here tonight, this evening. But so that's it. I think I will call it, guys. I think I am tired. I think I'm gonna go and have a rest, and maybe spend some time with another movie. I've watched a few this week, and it was fun. It was nice. It was nice that I was able to do that. And honestly, if I go now, I still have time to watch 1 or 2 more movies. And so I think I'm gonna do that. Tell us how you really feel. I don't want the dark politics. You are just so behind on chat. I end up answering something from the past. That's okay, man. It's cool, dude. It's cool. It's all good. Rewatch Last Samurai, Peter. Hey, and let me just tell you, only because you're mentioning it, Peter, to make it official, I almost watched it. And this goes to you, MLB, because I know you were the one who had talked about it. But then I checked, and I could confirm now it's not available for streaming. You got to pay for it. So I'm like, screw that. A lot more free stuff out there, Civil people should be able to express their opinions without fear of getting ganged up on. Correct. Thank you, Mr. Red Jack. And let's see, Peter had a good time. Did Ruben see the clips from that crazy beauty pageant? I don't even know what you're talking about, so the answer is no. And Scott says, good night, Scott. And go enjoy the popcorn in the movie. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate that. Yeah. Good night, Rich. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for dropping in. I know politics isn't your thing. Your lovely wife told us. Thanks for coming in between. And there you go. Peter enjoyed The Last Samurai very much. If it was free, like I said, I was going to watch it, guys. I was going to watch it, but it ain't free. So I don't know. Eventually, maybe it'll go free and I'll catch it. We'll see. Yeah, see, there you go. It'll be free. Exactly. So when it does, that keeps happening, Yeah, I'll catch it some other time. Dwayne's a pain, baby. See, there's another guy. Dwayne's a pain takes another view. He took the opposing view that I was certainly feeling, and he's in Oklahoma. That's not surprising. That Oklahoma is mostly red, and that's cool. Dwayne's a cool dude. I'd hang out with him anytime, go have a meal with him, break bread. No problem. We could talk about it, discuss it, whatever. And we don't need to resort to name calling, and that's childishness. You know what I mean? Oh, baby, Mark. I hope you keep coming back, because the next time we talk about movies, I'm going to mention Castle Freak, baby, last night. Woo! I don't even know what I'm cheering for. I honestly don't even know what the hell to say about it, but I want you to be here when I do have something to say. But I did watch it. I watched Castle Freak, even though you couldn't tell me why I should watch something rated 5.9. Crazy, dude, crazy. That's all I can tell you right now. I'll save it for the next episode. Remember, all Easter candy 50% as of Monday morning. Exactly. All the Easter chocolates will be on sale. Steve says, Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. Yes, indeed. That one. Yes, indeed. There you go. Politics aren't my thing. Just wanted you to know the psychology reasoning why people vote, at least here in USA. No, I appreciate it. And I appreciate it, And I did agree with some of your points as well. I do know some of the things you were saying were, I agreed with. Yeah. So hope you never talk politics again. yeah, I mean, other than a few comments here and there randomly we throw out from time to time. Yeah, we generally don't, you know, so hopefully we don't need to. But I appreciate everybody who did stick around to listen to it and to state your opinions. You know, that's what we should all do, as long as it's in a respectful manner. So there you go. Steve says, I enjoyed it. Saw it in the theater when it came out. All right. You better be laughing your ass off. Oh, shit. And Ruben freaking out about Castle Freak. Peter, was that the one that you were the one who also said you had seen it? Oh my God, Castle Freak. What a crazy movie. Like, what? Well, you both should come on. Hey, if we talk about it next week, you both should come on. At least for the few minutes, a little while to talk about it. All right? Peter, and you especially, Mark, because you're the one who first threw that out, that suggestion. If it affects art prices. Yeah, hopefully no more politics. Exactly, David. Yes. Thank you, and have a good night. Oh no, so you didn't see it, Peter. You didn't see it. Okay. Find it if you can. It's on I think it was Tubi. Anyways, it was free for me, so it's probably free for you. Pretty sure it was Tubi. You know? Mark says, which side are you on? Does the Castle Freak rip off his own ding dong or not? I didn't see it that way, so I'm gonna have to go with not. But that's why I need you to come on. Come on next week. What do you say? Come on next week. You don't have to stay for the whole show, but like jump in for a bit, and when you come in, we'll get the Castle Freak right away, and we'll chat about Castle Freak a bit, and especially if Peter's in. There's about 3 of us who've seen Castle Freak. That would be fun. I think that would be fun. Will you do that, Mark, for me? Will you do that? Because it wouldn't be fun to talk about it without you, since you're the one who threw the suggestion out in the first place. And I was not going to watch it. I literally wrote it down, but after I saw that it was 5.9, I was, oh my God, there's no way I'm going to ever watch this. And I did. I wanted to do it for you, you know? All right. Yes, sir. All right. Awesome. Excellent. Okay, cool. Very cool. So very good. We'll leave it there, everybody. Thank you again. Next week, we will talk some more. We'll talk some more movies. If anybody has, by next week, everybody will have had a lot of experience with the CAF changes. And I know that, like I had said last week, I know that this past Thursday, the CAF Plus channel talked about it. I didn't see it, so I don't know what was said or what was not. I don't know what the general feel was. But if you guys want to kind of bring that up, that's cool. We can talk about that if you guys want, you know, whatever. Yeah, but we'll see. But we'll definitely get back to a bit of movies, and yeah, maybe some comic art. If you guys have more comic art to talk, I'd like to. I always wanted to talk about comic art. It's just that there's never really anything new to talk about from one week to the next, you know. So that's it. 2 shows a week? Nah, man. No. I want to try to cut it down, get my shows shorter, not longer, and still keep it once a week is already too much. I'm already struggling to get to 1 per week, you know. I think we can do 2 a week instead of 1. Yeah, you think so, not me. Make comic art great again. Oh boy, comic art is great already. See, that's the thing. We don't have to Makaga. We don't have to Makaga because it's already great. You see? Tom Katzalowski, happy Easter to you. Don't be sorry. It was basically politics for the first 2.5 hours. And yeah, just small talk for the last 10 minutes. So there you go. Don't worry about it. But I appreciate it. Make comic art cheap again. Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. Macaca. That's a good one. Yes. Macaca. That would be good. Yes, indeed. Can you feature EBS, Shane Davis, Scott Adams art? You can feature it if you want to. If you want to, man, no problem. I'm not going to feature it, but if you want to come on and feature it, for sure. Go watch the older shows. They were more fun. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's so weird because my viewers were dropping off, literally down to the point where I got down to 13 viewers, right? Which makes sense because everybody knew I was signing off. And literally it has shot up. You're not going to believe this. From 13 to 35. We're back to 35. I don't know what the hell's going on. I guess people are coming back to see, hey, maybe they're going to finally get onto comic art talk or movies at least, you know? But no, we are getting out of here. For the 20 of you who have jumped back in, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to go and I'm going to watch a couple of movies. I'm going to watch a couple of movies. I'm in the mood. I just want to sit back and relax with some movies, definitely. So I watched all the Stop the Insanity and Roundtable. All of them? Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Good night, Mr. Red Jack. Appreciate it. Good night, Tom. Look at you taking over Stanley's position. One more hour encore. Talk some art. No movies. No movie talk tonight, but I'm going to go and watch some right now, Steve. So anybody interested in movies, we'll talk some more in movies next week and hopefully find something interesting in comic art we could also talk about. Yeah. So let's see what happens. Good night, Peter. Thank you, everyone. I ruined your entire week. No, you left. You left and came back, so you missed it all. So you're all right. Don't think politics. It'll just ruin your day. Yeah. Have a good week, Michael. Have a good week. Good night, Mark. I look forward to seeing you, Mark, next week, baby. And JT, talking politics was draining on me in the last 5 hours. Oh, man. I can't usually last 5 hours. I mean, I do, but I'm usually exhausted anyways, you know. But there's another guy who took a different kind of, you know, the opposing view a couple of times, and that's okay because he was polite about it, respectful. JT, I appreciate you, so thank you. And never politics, never. I don't believe in that. I think it's okay. Don't be sad, MLB. Don't be sad. You're one of us. Like one of us. Gooble gobble. One of us. Movie fans, horror movie fans will know what I just did. Ruben, good with the audience. I try to be. You know, just don't be a piece of shit to me and insult me and call me names when you know I don't even know you. Because yeah, that's good riddance to you at that point, you know. Actually, Democrat. But JT, you took kind of an opposing view. No? It felt like it anyways. Either way, it doesn't matter what you are. Either way, it's okay. Like I said, that's my point, is as long as you're respectful, all's good, you know? Come on, Tom. You brought up politics all the time leading up to the election. Freaks, Peter. Yes, sir. There's the movie buff I love. Freaks. Yes, that's a classic. I don't even vote and talk politics for 2 hours. Exactly. Amazing. See what you can do. See what we can accomplish in just having a public discourse with each other, as long as we are polite about it. You know, you can get into a 2-hour conversation, you know, give your viewpoints regardless of what everybody else thinks. And it's all good. All right, everybody. This time for sure. Peace. I'm out of here. Oh, yeah. Oh, I can't believe I was so distraught. Actually, there's still 25 of you here now. I was so distraught that, you know what? There's still a decent crowd. Let me do a couple of promos, actually. Because this Friday on the EXP, the full spectrum of comic art. Don't ask me what that means. But that's what the show is called. The full spectrum of comic art. Okay? At Nick's show on the EXP. All right, there you go. There's a direct link to the show. Go check it out. You see what I mean on the thumbnail. The full spectrum of comic art. So you're going to have to check it out on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific to find out what it's all about. All right. And then he didn't show up here tonight, but Newell did his first video in a while, and it was an unboxing of some original artwork. And so for those of you interested in such things as unboxings of original artwork on videos on YouTube, please do check that out. And here we go. It's a really cool piece, actually. It's a very nice piece. And there's a nice story behind it on how he came to acquire it. So definitely worth watching and listening to the story. So please do check that out, everybody. And did I ever say, I don't know if I did this last week, but in case I didn't, welcome to my newest sub, Pat Lee, and Anonymous. All right. There we go. And yeah, I think that's it for my promos. We're all good. Can't blame them for skipping tonight. Indeed, indeed. But and yet I didn't skip their promos, right? All right, everybody. Thank you again. Really appreciate it. As always, have a great week. The good weather for those of us in the colder parts of the country or the continent. The warmer weather is starting to finally roll in. So, yes, spring's here, and hopefully better moods, you know. And you know what happens when we're all in better moods? We start buying more art. We start wanting to spend money more. So that's it. All right, everybody. Catch you guys next week. Have a great one. And, tomorrow, for all you basketball fans, the NCAA March Madness Championship game. UConn versus the University of Michigan Wolverines for the national championship, NCAA championship. Go blue, baby. Go blue.